Hello and welcome to the craft kitchen. Yeah, as you can see, well, my desk is, no, you can't see. You could if I would take out the camera lens a bit more, but not going to. My desk is pretty much full at the moment, so I took out some papers to be prepared for our project. So for the Back to Basics, use what you have project, junk journal making. And like I told you in my last video, of course, I'm going to be using those teas because they are still a surprise for dyeing my papers. And also I'm going to be using some avocado skins. And yes, coffee, right? So I will use up this, yeah, ball of, nothing moves in here, of barley coffee. Also, I do have a new big jar of rust water I'm going to be using. And whoa, yeah, I took out a whole bunch of papers. So in here are the smaller things, some scraps of vellum and tracing paper as well, some offcuts from scrapbooking paper, but the back sides are plain white. Then yesterday my granddaughter found this in our bedroom. I have no idea why this was still in our shelf in the bedroom. So this was this came with our new, well, 6-month-old mattress. But I found there's Korean writing, and in here is Chinese writing, Arabic I also found. So of course I'm going to dye this as well. Yeah, some doilies, some cards, envelopes I don't like that much, a not very personal birthday card. So this just came with some flowers, with some sand flowers. Oh yeah, there's writing paper. Oh yeah, and of course I'm going to be using also those thin paper bags because they are plain white. Then yeah, really, I kept all of those, but that's not my style. But maybe if I coffee or tea dye it, it will look much better. This is a poster I took apart, but it's too white in the background for my liking. Yeah, this is white as well, so I'm going to be using this to coffee dye it as well. And I'm going to be using one of those, yeah, not really glossy, semi-glossy, I'd say, magazine pages I have, because I really like the photograph, but this looks too new to me. So yeah, my style is more vintage. So yeah, and I don't have any coffee dyed big envelopes anymore. Of course, all sorts of plain paper, 90 and 100 GSM copier paper. This is the sugarcane paper. I'm using this instead of recycling paper because this is what I have. Then I do have, yeah, this lined paper, this ring binder paper, and here I wanted to show you what will happen. It is very likely that these blue lines will just vanish when I dye those papers. Well, they are quite thin as well. So yeah, I will see. Graph paper, what else? Envelopes, yep, one of those city maps. And oh yeah, this design pad has white backsides, and I'm gonna be dyeing the backsides of the paper as well by just brushing on some dye. Here I do have a paper pad, a really cheap paper pad. Is there a price on it? No, I guess it is €4. It holds 60 sheets of paper and cardstock. 120 GSM as well as 200 GSM in 3 colors. This craft color, white and black. I just stuffed in some loose sheets here as well. So I also might just dye them, especially those. Not my style. What else? Some more papers. And just like the city map, this paper is coated, but I'm going to dye this anyway. Let's see. More writing paper. Oh yeah, and I also do have more vellum. Woo! Baking paper sheets, because I know for sure by now you can dye them with coffee with anything. It just takes a while to dry and they have to dry very flat. So I'm going to be using those as well, but first I'm going to use them to protect my desk. What else? Of course, book pages. Yep. Some of them are aged, some of them are more white. Of course I'm going to use them. Then I do have this, it's not a doily, but a small centerpiece for a table, for a tea table, coffee table, whatever. I can't get the stains out of here anymore. This has been sitting in my husband's auntie's cellar for a while, so she gave it to me. I know you can use this, she said. Of course I can. As well as this even weave, I guess is the name. So Aida cloth. I'm going to cut this and dye it as well. And very important, I'm going to take notes, like I did here. Not because this is all new to me, but I'm still experimenting with all those dyes. And in this case, it's quite a good idea to just take notes how your different dyes turn out. Either if you let them air dry, if you let them heat dry, if you let them dry outside in the sun, I can't at the moment. How much did you use, like here, to dilute in the water? How long did you cook it? It's good to take notes just on a scrap piece of paper, and if you like the outcome, just write it down, because otherwise you won't be able to get a similar effect later, because yeah, you don't know what you've done. So yeah, dyeing my papers, all of this and cloth and whatnot, will take me a while, but hey, that's quite all right. I have to restash my papers anyway. Now this video, yeah, will turn out quite differently from what I expected, but I guess happens to all of us, because yeah, life happens. I spent the last 4 days dyeing this stack of paper. Yeah, it's quite a bit. I didn't count the papers because it was raining all week. And also I only have about 2 hours a day to craft, maybe sometimes 3. So it wasn't the entire day, but yeah, the time that was left for me to play with papers. And playing with papers meant having wet and damp papers all over the craft kitchen, not able to move. And in the end, bake or dry iron most of them anyway. So yes, it's quite damp outside and also inside, because of course when you open the windows. So memo to my future self, paper dyeing only in winter when the heaters are on. I already said this this morning in Ginger Pam's live. So actually it's more of a morning chat for me and a late night chat for others. Well, actually there are ladies from all over the world. So if you want to have fun, if you want to just have a chat, watching Pam craft, and yeah, just chatting about like everything, I really recommend you watch her live and join the chat. It's really a nice bunch of people. Well, maybe a bit crazy, but who isn't? Just kidding. No, it's really a very lovely and supporting community. So if you're interested, just join us. The link will be in the description box. Actually, I wanted to show you how I mix my dyes and how I decide on, how to use them. But this was really way too long. So I'm trying to give you a summary of what the footage was. So I poured my teas, all the tea bags. So 2 of this number 9, number 10. This was a mixture of all of them, I guess. That's it. Yeah. And I used some cardstock strips, so those are all cut offcuts, to put them, into my cups. Well, not this. I put them into my cups first, like this way around, so next to each other, and then I switched them and turned them over, so I would have a comparison of how the colors would turn out, but really only on this kind of paper, right? So I realized I really liked this number 9, this one here, because on this cardstock it turned out just like, I don't know, yellowish brown. I really like it. And I thought for using this in a autumn journal for this year, this would be quite nice. Oh, I just realized, excuse the state of my fingernails, I just played with rust water. No, not wearing gloves. Yeah, same mistake every time. Then I did have these 2 colors. So I decided I wanted to use this number 10 tea, because this looked a bit like black tea to me. And all of the others, so this is the mixture of all of them. So like these turned out, yellowish, brownish, but I poured only together what looked quite similar to me here on my example cards. So like, you know, those 2, 19 and 24, they look quite similar, although you might see a line here, and this is the tiniest bit darker, but they look quite similar. Then this number 18, also about this color, and this number, this number 15 also. So I put all of those together, and then I started dyeing my papers. So let's see, we do have number 9 here. Like I told you, the dyes will turn out differently on every single paper. This is number 9. Also, this is number 9. Imagine my surprise when this came out of the oven. Well, it can be that it only turned this orangey red, which I really like. I guess at some point I glued this together back in the future, not in the future. I'm such a movie maniac. Somewhere back in time. Yeah, I might have glued this together. Well, it is what it is. So, yeah, they didn't turn out not at all like this number 9, but anyway, I like this color for an autumn themed journal. Let's see, is there anything? Not even this, where I placed my index cards to dry. Yeah, I've been trying to dry them in my room, but no. I mean, look at this. This almost looks like rust water. So yummy. And then again, the backside. Well, also. But here I had another index card. Yeah, so maybe this? No, not at all. So I got a completely different color, but I love it. I really love it. Let's see. Oh yeah, here you can see it. Where is my lined paper? So I was expecting these lines to vanish. So they are printed in blue. Most of the time these lines are not stable, and when they come in contact with water they just vanish. Well, yeah, at least are not seen as good anymore after they dried. But they stayed, and can you see this? Oh yes, you can. Gave up some of the blue color to, for example, this doily. This is so cool. I really, really like it. Oh, I also dyed those lace pieces. In fact, I dyed all of my tablecloth. I tore the lace off and also to pieces. I really like this grunge. And I also tore some strips. Here I've been using more or less short strips because I didn't have that much of this tea. But look. So this was the coated paper, and because I first soaked this with the tea and then baked it dry, it's still a bit glossy, but it turned, yeah, a bit more rough. So I guess the tea maybe penetrated. I don't know if this is the right word. The coating on this paper a bit. Oh yeah, here I had those strips laying when I was drying this, so baking this, because I thought, let's try and get a nice imprint. Worked. And here I stacked the papers. Let's see, the lined papers. And here the same thing like with the doilies happened. The papers gave off a bit of the blue line color. I really can't see if you can see it. So I do have some lines in between the original lines, so faded lines. This is just awesome. Love it. And yeah, this is actually the right color. Oh yeah, here. This is 100 GSM copier paper. Again, the lines of the lined paper printed on this. And this is it's a very totally different color from this, for example. So this is more yellowish, and this is quite red. And both are very different from my example. So, and for the tea dyes, I didn't take notes because I will never ever use these teas again. My son didn't like the advent calendar anyway, so I'm not going to buy another one. I just tried to somehow organize for you, just so you can see different papers turn into different colors, right? This is my barley coffee stack. Yes. Most papers I made are dyed with barley coffee. One batch was the pure barley coffee, so I had this lump of barley coffee down in my jar and poured about double the amount of boiling water into the jar. So I had a really dark and strong coffee, as you maybe can see with this here, this Ada fabric. I had to cut this into strips because no tearing at all. I really like to tear my fabric, but no, not this. Oh yeah, this turned really nice, right? I don't know where this is coming from, this grayish spot, but I love it. This one, well, I still don't like. This was light pink. Woo. So I tried to coffee dye it. I would have loved to get a color like this all over. Yeah, Didn't happen, so I'm going to definitely sort of re-dye or repaint this. Well, this was my example I took from my cards. This was the pure, so the 1 part, 1 lump of coffee, 2 parts of water. And then I diluted this one by adding or by doubling the amount of water. So no, nothing of both, maybe. I have no idea. Funny thing is, these two are the same papers. Well, they are a bit similar on this side, but what? I have no idea. Well, I don't know. Did I mention this? I don't, sort of dry bake my papers very often. Actually, almost never. Because most of the time I just hang them up to dry, but it's too much. So yeah, different drying methods also bring you different results. Here again, sitting on top of each other while baking, just yummy. And let's see, this one turned quite nice with all the spots on here. Ooh, and then the lines of the paper, of the lined paper, as well as this. Oh, I love it. Ah yeah, actually, this piece of paper, oh, you actually can see it, was sitting like this on the book page. Great. So I do have the imprints of this here on this side and the imprints of this here. Nice. And then, yeah, the map pieces, I really cut one of the street maps to pieces because they are so annoying. I guess I will use this and paint this with some acrylic paints. Well, not paint it, more of print. I will use my brayer and bring some paint on here. So this one is the barley coffee. I added more water to. This is interesting because it looks like the pure barley, mostly, but it's actually the more watery solution. I also made a solution from really a lot of avocado peels, not only what I showed you in the beginning. I poured in water until they were covered, got it to a boil, and then let it simmer for, I don't know, 45 minutes to 60 minutes about. I can't tell because I was chatting with the ladies and listening to Pam. And I also put in, this time, a bit more baking soda, so sodium bicarbonate, not baking powder. Baking powder is different from sodium bicarbonate. This time a bit more, and I also used another kind of avocado this time, so the really black ones. I don't know if this makes a difference. So this is all just avocado dye. Let's see. All of this is actually air dried. It took almost 36 hours for this to dry, and still I had to dry iron it. Whoa. So I've been using some fabric pieces I usually use to dry my coffee dyed papers on, to place my avocado dyed papers onto, right behind me on the floor. Well, actually right under me as well. And while the avocado dye was drying, some spots were penetrated with the leftover coffee on the fabric. So I really like this effect because this is sort of grayish blue. this is just great. I tried to recreate this effect. No. I couldn't recreate the oxidization like I wanted to. Too bad. Oh, look at this. This is so yummy. I love it. Well, some of the papers turned really nice. So like this darkish orangey color. Well, I really like this effect here. Whereas the paper itself is just a bit too pinkish for me. But I guess I'm going to be using it anyway. It's really nice. So yeah, like I told you, I was trying to recreate this oxidization effect. Well, I wasn't as lucky because the oxidization happened while the avocado dye was drying, of course. So I couldn't recreate this, of course, with already dyed paper. So yeah, I did the next best thing. I sprayed the fabric on the floor with coffee and also my papers. Well, on some I do have the tiniest bit, this is barely visible, of this grayish blue, really the tiniest bit. This is just dark, but I like it. This was the bag where my where I stored my avocado skins in. Here, I guess I did it. I had some of the solution left, of the avocado solution, and yeah, tried to mix this a bit. So here, yeah, I sort of recreated the effect. Love it. And those are the packaging papers. Do I have? Yes. I do. So, yes. Huh? Love it. So this old reddish color, this vintage reddish packaging paper color or butcher's paper color, you can achieve, for example, with avocado skin dye. I used to use Easter egg dye for this. Works perfectly fine as well, because the red Easter egg dye in the packages I do have, or in most packages you can buy, is more pinkish. This is really yummy. I was already in the kitchen cooking my avocado skin dye, so I also cooked onion skins, the yellow onion skins, into my pot, pouring this with water until they were covered. And of course, when they soaked up the water, it was less-ish onion peels in the end, but about this. And this also I cooked for about 40 or 50 minutes. And yeah, this, let's see, for testing the dye, I used, where is it? Ah, there you are. This paper, well, here I had an accident. I accidentally put a piece of another batch on here later. So I used this calendar sheet, this piece of, let's see, oh yeah, the cheap craft cardstock, then packaging paper, and the edges of this piece of lace turned the tiniest bit purple. There and there. This is just great. So just like here, but this was an accident. And here the edges also turned the tiniest bit purple. I love it. And those pieces actually were just air dried overnight. Yeah, and I again dry ironed them today. So this paper is completely different from this. Please ignore this darkish piece here. So the dye, the color is completely different. Even here it's different. And whoa, this is a nice color. Well, I guess about this, no, it was darker. I just thought about this color was what I had in my jar, but no, it was darker. Yet another color. This is almost like something like this. And then the back side of a piece of scrapbook paper. And yeah, the envelope. This looks so great. I love it. On both sides, actually. Ah, it's so yummy. I put this envelope soaking wet with the yellow onion skin dye onto the floor, on the fabric, soaked with coffee and avocado skin dye. And it took on the tiniest bit of the other dyes. So this here is just coffee, this grayish, darkish, blue, whatever. And yeah, of course, this is avocado dye. Yum yum. And for this batch, I added, yeah, let's say about half a teaspoon of baking soda to half of my onion skin dye batch. And again, I used the same materials for my test. And this, this is so yummy. Well, you could say, just when you look at this in the camera, this looks a bit like avocado dyed, but it is a brownish red, not purple at all when I look at it. And this is really brown. I love it. So no pink in here. This is, oh, so yummy. I love it. So of course, when I saw this, after it dried, I made a batch. Yes, this color is, oh, I love it. I guess this will be my favorite color or dye next to coffee for a long time. I really like it. So yeah, funny thing is, these turned out really brownish, and these book pages are still yellow. Well, more orangey. And ooh, this is just great. So this is the fabric I dyed with the dark orangey onion peels, onion peel dye. Yes, this is a really nice dark brown. Just yeah, what you would achieve with a really dark coffee color or coffee dye. That's quite nice. I love it. And yeah, again, some papers turned just like this. Oh no, my bad. This is exactly the dark solution. So the onion skin cooked with a bit of bicarbonate, so baking soda. Yeah, but I had to bake them dry. And they turned out, yeah, grungy, I'd say. Yellow, grey, burgundy, I don't know. Everything in here. Those are white plies of napkins, like, where did I put them? I have no idea. I somewhere do have a stack of my white napkin plies. I have no idea. You have no idea. To the left and the right, everything is just stacked up. I'm waiting for a craft avalanche. So yeah, I've been using the white plies of napkins to pick up some of the dye. Maybe I didn't like the puddle, or I had some spots on my craft mat and I just wanted to wipe them. Yeah, I've been using those, and I just let them sit like this on a tray to dry. This actually I guess you can't see this. There's still a bit of green and red in here. This is the ghost print, so there's the in-between layer of a napkin. Great. What you also could use, of course, is pieces of fabric you want to dye anyway. Let me get one. So this, for example, is what I use here at my desk when I do have smaller amounts of paint here on my tile or glass mat, just to wipe this. And someday, of course, I'm going to be using this for crafting. It's not the only rag I do have for this, but it's an example. And also, yeah, these will look like this, not exactly like this, but as grungy as this soon as well. Yeah, this was a lot of work, but I really had a lot of fun experimenting. In fact, every time I dye my papers, it's like a new experiment. Well, if I paint just on some coffee or tea, of course it's not an experiment, unless I do have some really new papers and I don't know how they will turn out in the end. But whenever I just gather some papers and want to dye them just to see what they will look like in the end, it's an experiment and I love it. But this time, maybe it was a bit much. Just maybe. So, I have my papers ready for the project, so for the Back to Basics journal. I hope you as well, if you want to craft along, will have enough time to maybe dye some papers. And also in one of the next episodes we're going to maybe use up those for, I don't know, mark making or painting on unloved papers, to just dyed papers. I don't like this. This is still very boring to me. Yeah, it's orange, but boring. Not grungy at all. So I'm gonna be grunging this up with whatever I can find, because it's just paper. If I put on a ton of mediums here and I still don't like it, either I will use it for collaging, or it's going to the bin, finally. To the recycle bin. So dearies, hope you could get some information about how to make your papers pop the tiniest bit more with really cheap options. Like I told you, there's much more you can use for dyeing your papers, but I guess this would have taken me 2-3 weeks. And in the end, yeah, I could have showed you one piece each and you wouldn't have any comparison of how different kinds of paper will turn out using the same dyeing solution, right? So no use. Dearies, thanks for watching. Hope to see you next time when we're going to decide on the pages for the signatures for the new journal. Until then, as always, stay creative and be excellent to each other. Bye!